just see what you can do to settle in there. Relax the shoulders, relax the back. Let the shoulder blades start to hug the block slightly, and let the chest, the collarbone start to soften, open up as you start to cultivate a nice intimate connection with that breath in through the nose, into the side ribs. And let that breath with each rhythm in and out start to create a sense of ease, starting to create some space. So you invite the breath in, creating space. Also just seeing what you can begin to let go of this morning. If you're gripping anything in the body, in the back of the jaw, in the throat, soften the brow. And anything mentally you might be holding on to, thoughts of what you were doing before class, what you might need to do this week. So you can let that go as well as you let that inhale, bring awareness into the body, into the moment, and into your practice. Just approaching our practice from a place of compassion this morning. No need to judge anything, compare anything to your neighbor. Just let your practice be however you need it this morning. Push yourself if you like, rest whenever you need to. You are the guru, so make this practice your own. Yeah, just approaching from a place of compassion without any need to put expectations on yourself this morning. Continue to soften, surrender into this shape. Few more rhythms of breath into the body. Again, just letting that breath travel throughout the torso, into the back, into those side ribs, creating that space. Exhale everything out. Just do one more full breath into the belly, nice and slow. Feel the chest lift. And then exhale, soften the shoulders, letting the chest open up a little bit more on that exhale. And then take your time, nice and slow. You can bend the elbows, you can grab for the edges of your mat, just giving a little bit more support. Maybe just gently rock off to one side, no big sudden movements here. Go ahead and remove the blocks and just place them off to the side. Grab one block and bring it right in between the thighs. Just doing a little counter pose for that back bend. So squeeze the thighs together. Go ahead and bring knees up into the chest. Grab for shins or grab for backs of the thighs. Just bring your nose up towards your knees. Just rounding up. Take a nice big breath into the belly here. Exhale, squeeze the thighs in a little bit more. Round up a little bit deeper. And then gently lower down. Inhale, take the arms up overhead. Big breath into the chest. Fill up. Exhale, round back up. Maybe reaching fingertips out towards the toes a little bit more. Pulling the shoulder blades up off the mat, engaging the belly, but we're breathing. Go ahead, lower legs down, arms back up overhead. One more big breath in here. Exhale. This time we're going to just reach off to the right side. So fingertips up and out as much as you can. Breathe into the side body. Knees up and in. Squeeze those thighs together. Inhale back to center. Fill up. Create that space. Exhale off to the left. Fingertips reaching out, active. So inhale back one more time. And exhale back to center. Last time. Squeeze it in, contract. Squeeze all that stale, stagnant breath and energy out of the body. And gently lower down, remove the block. We're going to slide the block just right underneath the tailbone on the lowest setting. Walk the feet out if it's okay on the low back. If you feel any strain or pinching, go ahead and come out of that. Otherwise, just flex the toes, take the toes out in front of you, ankles together, and point the toes out over the edge of the mat. You can do one leg at a time if that's a little easier on the low back. Feel nice opening through the hips. Just opening up through the heart, opening up through the hips, opening up through the pelvis. Breathe into that space. One more cycle of breath wherever you are. And then go ahead and bend the knees, bring the heels back in, lift up in the hips. Go ahead and remove the block. And then we're going to come up into a tabletop position, however you like. You can roll up and down the length of your spine. You can just roll hips off to one side. Place the block off to the side so it's available. Take a moment here, spread the fingertips nice and wide, thumbs facing in towards each other. Shoulders lined up over those wrists, hips lined up. Over the knees, just a little rock side to side, back and forth. Circle out your tail, back around the heels, up to center, both directions. Everything back into center, continuing with those heart openers. We're going to take a puppy pose. So puppy pose, we want to keep our hips pretty much lined up where they are instead of child's where we're taking them back. So keep hips lined up over knees. Walk those fingertips as far forward as you can. Then start to pull the heart space down towards the mat and kind of pulling it back towards the knees just slightly. So you should create a nice opening through the chest, through the pectoral muscles. Feel that in the armpits. Stretch those fingertips out away from you. Take a nice big breath into the chest there. On that exhale, sinking down just a little bit more. Let the crown of the head connect with the mat. Breathe into the ribs. Breathe into the back. Breathe into the belly. One more cycle, just like that, nice and slow. Weight of your body drawing you down on the exhale a little bit deeper. Start to slowly bring the head up, arms back to center. Taking a nice child's pose here, toes to touch. Before you start to melt down, just work your hips back towards your heels as much as you can. Knees go wide, and then fingertips back out in front of you. Create as much length in the front of the body as you can, maybe tenting those fingers. Nice inhale here. Exhale, melt down through the heart space. Drop the elbows. Nice big breath. One more cycle here, nice and easy. Nice, gentle exhale. Sink down and in a little deeper. And gently start to bring yourself back up to center. Knees back into alignment with the hips. Going to tuck the toes under. We're going to come up into a hero's pose. So this is a great option to bring the block, slide it right underneath your tail, maybe 2 blocks, depending upon how your knees are, how tight your hips are. Knees together. You can untuck the toes if you like. It's okay on the knees, kind of leaning back. Maybe the knees come up a little bit, just feeling a nice stretch in the tops of the feet. If you feel any tenderness in those knees, you come out of that. It's okay, maybe lifting up, leaning back just a little bit, opening up through the front of the body. Everything back into center, roll the shoulders up, back and down. Slide the palms just flat along the tops of the thighs. Lift up in your chest, nice tall spine. The crown of your head like somebody drawing you up to the sky with a string. Lengthen the neck. Deep breath in here all the way up to the crown of the head. Exhale, just let the shoulders pull away from the ears. Feel that weight drop all the way down into your hips, into the tops of your feet, connecting with the earth. And feel that breath connecting those 2 opposing forces, opening the body, creating that space. One more breath. Inhale, lift up nice and tall on the fingertips. Spread the fingers nice and wide and just pull the fingertips right towards the back of the skull. Thumbs active here, elbows out, dropping down a little bit deeper. Let your heart come forward and lift up. Let the fingertips fall down. Either option here is to just take them to the low back, or if you want to interlace, maybe interlacing fingers, drawing knuckles down. If that's a little too intense, again, just having arms crossed with the low back, then press into your low back or draw those knuckles down. Open the chest a little bit more. Elbows draw in towards each other if you have the bind. Maybe gaze goes up slightly. Gently release. We're going to go ahead and come up onto the knees. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Lengthen those side ribs, create space. Deep breath in. Again, exhale, fingertips towards the back of the head. Elbows come out nice and wide. Hips a little bit more forward. Option here. Go ahead and take that bind. Go ahead and just hands to the low back, wherever your mobility takes you. Hips come a little bit more forward. Maybe drawing knuckles down, elbows together. Lift up a little bit more. Just think, as we get into these back bends, a little bit more about opening the front of the body as opposed to bending the back. Let's big breath in here. Exhale, gently lower down in the hips. Inhale, lift up again, nice and tall. Deep breath in, take a little gentle twist. Exhale, left hand goes over to the outside of the thigh. Roll the shoulder back, lift up nice and tall. Deep breath in. Exhale, twisting from your tail up through the shoulders. Gaze goes over that right shoulder. And release back to center, lift up nice and tall. Big breath in here. Exhale, gentle twist. Take your time. Roll the back shoulder back. Lift up in your crown. Twist from the base up into shoulders. Crown goes back. One more cycle of breath here. Release. All right. Last time, back up onto the knees. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Deep breath in. Exhale, we're just going to twist back. Just breathe back. However far you go. Listen to your body. Inhale, back to center. Gentle back bend if you like. Exhale, just reach it on back. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, back to center. Sinking breath and movement. Creating space for that twist. Inhale, last time. Exhale. All right, everything back into center. Go ahead and remove the block. If you have it, just place that off to the side. Go ahead and tuck toes under. Start to work your hips back. Bring the knees up. Come into a little crouch. Start to lift up into that tail. Downward facing dog. Take your time. Nice short dog to begin. So before you start taking the hands super long, just work them back a little bit so you can start to stretch out through the calves, drop down through the heels, and then you can start to work your hands a little bit more forward. Go ahead and lift up in your heels, lift up in that tail. Take a nice big inhale there. On that exhale, pull the heart space back towards the thighs, just as we were doing in that puppy pose, to create a nice line of energy from your tail, sending all the way down to your fingertips. Big breath. On the exhale, we're going to roll forward into plank pose. Modify your plank if you need to by lowering your knees down. Otherwise, pressing up out of the shoulders, so you're not dropping into the shoulder girdle. Middle of the back pulls up towards the sky. There's a little round in the back, but try not to lift up your hips too high. Press out through your heels. Reach forward with your crown of your head over your wrist a little bit more. Take an inhale here, belly working, but we're breathing. On the exhale, let's lower down the chest. Keep those elbows drawn in towards the ribs, all the way to the belly. A little rock side to side. Get as much contact with your pelvis, with the tops of your thighs. And the ground is possible. Slide the palms right underneath those shoulders. Keep those elbows drawn in. Press into the mat. Start to lift up through the chest. Feel that low back engage. Pull your kneecaps slightly up and in so you're active. Breathe. Release, exhale. Maybe turn your head to one side for a moment. Relax the belly. Relax the thighs. Breathe. All right, back to center with the crown of the head, sliding into Sphinx pose. Elbows right under those shoulders. Active, press into the hands. Press into the tops of the feet. Pull up through the kneecaps. Deep breath in. On the exhale, press into the mat and pull your heart space through your shoulders, almost like you're dragging the lower half of your body. Feel your whole low to mid back start to fire up and engage. Breathe. Soften the heart. Soften the collarbone. One more breath. Gentle exhale. Release, let go. Maybe turn head to one side again. Relax the back, relax the belly. One more cycle here. Down with the head back to center. Option here to come back into that Sphinx pose. If you're feeling a little bit more open in the back, take the arms out in front of you a little bit more. Spread them a little bit wider than the shoulder, press into it, starting to come up into a seal pose. This is intense on the back and a little too much of a back bend. Don't do it. You can be down that Sphinx. You can be in the low cobra, so listen to your body. Otherwise, opening up through the chest, press into the pelvis, lift up through the heart space. Reach back with the toe. Big breath in. Exhale, release nice and slow. Slide those palms underneath the shoulder. Press yourself up either directly back into plank, maybe just go through tabletop on the knees, all the way back to that down dog. Take time, pedal out your dog, lift up in those heels, lift up in your tail, big breath into that space, sink those heels on the exhale. Pull that heart space back towards the thigh. All right, let's go ahead and go right leg up and back, three-legged dog. Press out through that heel. Nice long leg here, deep breath in. On the exhale, we're gonna send it up forward, right in between the hands. It stops short, take your time, move it up there. You can come down into a low lunge if you need to, but we're coming into a crescent lunge. So we want the back knee up, back on the ball, or the tippy toes on the back foot. Take your time, reposition if you're a little wobbly here. Set the hips nice and strong. Drop into the lunge, drop into the front knee, and then you're gonna pull that back knee up. Press out through the heel. So nice, strong, active in the back leg. Palms to heart center. Press into your big toe. Anchor down, sink down a little bit. Inhale, lift it up nice and tall. Fingers back behind the head, elbows go down, open up that heart space. A little bit balance challenge. Keep the gaze nice and soft. Stay here, or if you'd like, we're gonna add some movement. Reaching forward, scoop the fingertips down like you're scooping up water. Take that all the way up, nice and slow. Up over the head, back over the head. Sinking breath with movement. Reach forward, scoop up the water, up over the head, practice those arms. Breathing, moving. We're gonna go ahead and take palms to heart center. We're gonna drop the back heel, coming into a warrior one. Go ahead and reach back, either palms just to the low back like we had before, or take that bind, where you're interlacing the fingertips, draw the knuckles down, open up that heart space. Lift up nice and tall, sink into that front knee. Stay here. If you'd like a little bit more, just a suggestion, starting to reach forward with the crown of the head, bringing that front shoulder to the inside of that knee, coming into a humble warrior. If that's a little intense, no need to do it. You can also release the bind if you like. You could have your blocks in front of you. Feeling that on that outer right hip, on the inner thigh. Creating space. Breathe into that air. One more breath wherever you are. Press into your big toe. Use your core strength. Start to bring yourself back up nice and tall. Release the bind. We're going to turn back towards the front. Big step all the way forward. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, slide the palms down to the heart center. Pause for a moment. Let everything settle in the body. Regain that rhythm of breath. One more cycle. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, fingertips back up nice and tall. Deep breath at the top. Exhale, get your palm. Still back as you reach that crown of the head forward. Roll down again. Halfway lift. Press into your shins or tops of the thighs. Reach the crown of your head forward. Nice long spine here. Big breath in. Exhale, move forward. Grab for the backs of the calves here, or thighs. Pull your heart space down and in. A little rock side to side. Plant those hands. Take a big step back. Plank pose or modified plank if you need it. Pause for a cycle of breath. Deep breath in. Exhale, lower back all the way to the belly. Option for the back bend. Cobra, that low cobra, the Sphinx. Maybe if you're ready for an up dog, press into the mat, lift up in your chest, pull your thighs up off the mat. Deep breath in here. Back bend the tree. Exhale, we'll meet in down dog, however you'd like to get there. Either back up through the knees, back to your plank. One more breath. Nice little exhale. All right, three-legged dog, second side, left leg up and back. Stand out through the tips or through the toes as much as you can. Big breath in. Exhale, send yourself forward. Press the mat away. Pull the back up and in so you create some space for that foot to land. Build your foundation nice and slow, solid. If you need to reposition the width of the feet, you don't want to be on this little tightrope here, so about hip width distance. Sink into the lunge, palms to heart center. Firm up that back leg, pulling that back knee up and in as you press out through the heel. Have a little bit more movement. Inhale, lift up, it's tall. Top half of the body stretching out and lifting. The lower half sinking down and in. Cactus those arms, fingertips to the back of the head, open up nice and wide. Side's always a little more challenge. Fall out of it. Just make your way back into it. All right, let's add that movement. Big scoop of the water. Up over the head. Sinking. Drop the back heel, put that about a 45-degree option just to support the back. Take the bind, maybe cross the other knuckle on top. Draw the knuckle down, open the chest. Sink into the lunge. Stay here. Or if you like, come along for the ride, start to drop in. That front shoulder to the inside of the knee. Blocks available there. Release the bind if that's too much on the shoulders. Just support the low back. Find the shape that works for you. One more second. Press into that front big toe. Use that core. Start to bring yourself back up. Release the bind if you have. Turn back towards the center. Bend into the knees. Big step forward. Inhale, lift up. Deep breath in at the top. Exhale, palms back to heart center. Close the eyes. Let all that prana, let that energy settle. I feel a little bit warmer than when you started. Regain that cycle of breath. Relax the belly, relax the ribs. One more rhythm here, nice and slow. Nice, slow exhale out. Wonderful. Going through our second sequence, back at the top of the mat. Drop down in those heels. Press into your toes. Lift up, find length. Create space for that breath. All as you can get in the crown and fingertips are just dropping the weight in the hips and heels. Big breath in. Exhale. Nice and slow all the way down. Grab to the elbows. Pull them towards the mat. Relax the neck. Shake the head, yes and no. Wiggle the jaw. Anything you're gripping or holding on to, just let go. Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Press the thighs back, press into the shins or top to the thighs. Reach the crown of your head out over the head. Breathe into that space. Exhale, hinge all the way down. Plant those hands. We're going to take a big step back with the left leg. We're going to drop into a low lunge here. So knees down. Option there, the toes can be tucked or untucked. I kind of like them untucked. Start to come up with the hands over the right knee. Start to sink down into your hips. Drop into that left hip. Feel the stretch go up into that hip, through the psoas muscle, through the inner thigh. And press into that knee and pull your heart space up. You're sinking into the hip as the top of the body is lifting up as high. Inhale, add a little bit of lift in the torso. Deep breath in, fill up here. Exhale, cactus. Fingertips back behind that head. Open up. Maybe take the arms out nice and wide. Flip the thumbs back, palms come up. A little bit of a balance here. Breathe. Exhale, palms to heart center. We're going to take the fingertip down. We're going to work that right foot over to the edge, coming into a lizard pose. Blocks available here if you like, right underneath the arms. Bring the mat up towards you a little bit more. Want a little bit more intensity, you can tuck the back toes and pull that knee up. Shift a little bit more back and forth, or just stay low. Maybe drop down to forearms if you like. Opening up that right hip. Want a little bit more intensity, you can let the foot roll to the edge of the mat. Press into that knee. Open up the inner thigh a little bit more. Depends upon where you want to feel that stretch. Outer hip, inner thigh. Stay up high, drop down low, back knee up. Lots of different options here. Breathe into that space. One more cycle wherever you are. Nose start to come back up, bring the knee back into the center. Rocks off to the side. We'll work that foot back into the middle of the mat. Framing it with each hand on the other side. Pop the back leg up. This time we're going to take a big step forward, or maybe a couple small ones, however you'd like to get there. Halfway lift. Thighs are back, crown forward. Exhale forward. Bend those knees. Root to rise. Draw the energy up through the legs. Roll up through the spine, nice and slow. Inhale. Open up, create space. Find length. Deep breath in at the top. Exhale, palms back to heart center. Working that hip a little bit more on the right side. We're going to go ahead and shift the weight over into the left leg. Bend into that knee so you're not locking out the knee. So how about good bend in that knee? A lot of times when we do balance, people kind of lock out their legs, and then when they're doing this, there's nowhere to go. So let's have a little bend in the knee so you can wiggle around if you need. All right, palms to heart center. We're going to go ahead and draw the right knee up and in. Fall out of it, come back out. You can stay here if you like a little bit more. Cross the ankle over the knee. Start to drop. So it's a little more challenging in the grass, isn't it? Start to drop down into a chair pose. Feel that opening through that hip. You fall out, come back in nice and easy. Keep the gaze soft on something not moving out in front of you. Maybe fingertips come out. Lift up in the heart space. Maybe not. A little arm balance here if you like. Maybe coming down, hook that foot on the outer edge. Come on, Johnny, I know you got it. Shift the weight into the hand.
Nope, don't got it.
Maybe not, maybe never. All right, wherever you are, gather it all back to the center. Come up and out, nice and easy, everybody. Let it go, get that leg a little shake out. Wonderful. All right. Yeah, grab a little drink, coffee, we're working. All right, collect yourself back at the top of the mat. Let everything go. Let go of those expectations. Don't worry about what the neighbor's doing. Don't worry about what I'm doing. Just find your flow. Inhale, lift up, nice and tight. Breath and movement. Exhale, fold back. Halfway lift. Make space, length. What's rooting in the body? What's exhale, hinge and fold back. All right, big step back with that right leg. Dropping into low lunge on the second side. Take your time. With that front knee lined up over that ankle. So if you're kind of back here, you want to make sure everything's kind of squared off. Press into the top of the knee. Drop into the hip. Right hip sinking down as much as you can. And as you sink in the hips, press into the knee and lift up in the chest. Stay here. This might be plenty for you. If you like a little more, add a little bit more lift in the torso. Lift up nice and tall. Breath in. And exhale those arms. Open up the chest. Cactus. Maybe fingertips out. Flip the thumbs up and back. Breathe. One more cycle wherever you are. Exhale, release. Hands down. Let the heel toe that left leg out to the edge of the mat. Palms to the inside of that foot. Blocks are a great option here. Sink into the hips. Lift up in the chest for a moment. Stay lifted. Hold the back knee up. Maybe you want to just shift back and forth in the hips. Maybe knees down. You're coming down. Drop to the forearms. Crown of the head lower. Take it to wherever you like. Intensity. Breathe into that space. One side's always going to be a little tighter. One more cycle of breath wherever you are. Sink a little deeper on that exhale. Wherever you are, if you're low, start to come up and out, nice and slow. Heel toe that foot back in towards the center. Plant those hands, pop up through that back knee. Big step forward or a couple of little ones. Halfway lift, wipe the slate clean, thighs back, round forward. Exhale, hinge and fold. Bend those knees, root to rise, nice and slow. Inhale it up. Deep breath in at the top. Exhale, palms back towards the heart center. Setting up for that balance. Second side. Shift the weight over into the foot. Nice and loose in that knee so you're not locking out. Press the palms into heart center. Gazes out, soft. Something not moving, so probably not me. Knee comes up and in. This might be your balance this morning. You might be down here and just have a little toe, a little kickstand toe. If you like, maybe crossing over the knee. Stay here. This might be plenty on that outer hip. Shaking's good, smiling's good. Maybe add a little bit more challenge, sink down. Keep the arms there, add the arms. Breathe into that space, breathe into the challenge, no expectations. One more breath wherever you are. Come up nice and slow, let it go, shake it out. One. Give it a little shake out. We're gonna start slowing things down. We're gonna get into pigeon here in a little bit since we've been opening up those hips. If pigeon is your not your friend and you don't want to get into that, figure 4 on the back. So we'll get there in a little bit. We'll do a little back bend series and then prepare for pigeon. So just a little heads up where we're headed. All right, top of the mat, flow it out. Inhale, nice and fast. Big breath, fingertips up, crown lifted, heels dropping. Exhale. Halfway lift. Exhale, hold. Plant those hands, big step back, plank hold. Push up out of those shoulders, press through the heels, reach the crown forward. Pause for a breath. Exhale, lower down, knees, chest, and chin, or just all the way to the belly. Untuck those toes. This time we're going to come into a locust pose. We're going to roll the shoulders back. We're going to reach the fingertips back towards the heels as much as we can. And press into the hips as you lift up through that chest. Stay here if you like a little bit more. Charge up those inner thighs. Squeeze the thighs together. Lift up through. Stay here. You want a little bit more. Arms out to a T. Lift those thumbs up and back. Breathe into that space. Come out of it if it's uncomfortable. Exhale. Let it all go. Head goes down. Bend the knees and just windshield wiper back and forth. Relax and release the low back. Kind of circle the heels back around the hips, back to center. Relax the legs, head back to center. Option to do that same pose, the locust, or if you like, maybe coming into a full bow. So we're gonna roll the shoulders back, start to lift up through the chest, reach back towards those heels. Maybe this is plenty. Maybe you bend the legs. Maybe you can grab a hold of those ankles. You can get a hold of the legs. Press up and back, kick into those hands. Lift up through your chest. You can't get a hold of those legs. Still, you're getting the same benefits and actions. So just do what you can do. Breathe. One more cycle. Exhale, release. Oh, thank God. All right. Palms under the shoulder. Big push all the way back to a child's pose. For this one, let's keep the knees together. Slide those fingertips down towards the heels. Maybe you can grab a hold of the heels and then draw your nose in towards the knees. So just a nice counter stretch. Relax and breathe into the low back. Soften, surrender. Let's go one more cycle. Nice, slow exhale out. All right, so preparing for pigeon pose. We're going to come into a downward dog. As I mentioned, if pigeon is something that is not your friend, you're on your back, you're going to come into a figure 4, still getting the same benefits, just without that extra pressure. Otherwise, have your blocks available if you're tight in the hips, and I can come around and help adjust them, just off to the side. Nice big dog, lift it in the tail, sink those heels. Go right leg up and back, press out through the heel, lift up nice and tall. On the exhale, you're gonna take the right foot, the right ankle over towards the left wrist. You're gonna start to drop down into that right side thigh. And before you sink down, take your left leg and work it back as far as you can. So kind of lift up in your kneecap, work it back, untuck the toes, work it back to create as much contact as possible. Lock on that outer right hip. Stay up nice and tall if you like. Sink down nice and low if you like. Come at the stretch from a place of passion instead of trying to force anything. Feeling it a little too intense, you'd like to come off of it, go ahead and do so. Breathe into that space. Breathe into the stretch and that area of discomfort. See if you can just soften it, release, and relax a little bit more. Even you surprise yourself a little bit. You get so much hip opening. Maybe vision is something you can't really get into, but you do a little bit of prep work, give yourself a release, a little bit better of a chance. No expectations, no comparison. Soften, surrender. One more breath, nice and slow. Exhale everything out of the belly. Squeeze the low belly when you're at the bottom of that exhale. And then a nice, slow inhale. Create space, create length. Sink a little deeper on the exhale. All right. If you're low, start to come up nice and slow. Palm underneath the shoulders. Best way to get out of this, tuck your back toe under. Press up, pull your back knee up. So you create some space for that foot to come out. Then drop down. You can go on the tabletop. You can go back into dog. Shake the hips a little side to side. Whatever you want to do to bring a little bit of movement into that right leg. Maybe circle out the leg. All right, when you're ready, preparing for that second side, back to our downward facing dog. Stretch it out, stretch out those calves. And when you're ready, left leg up and back. Create as much length as you can. Deep breath in. On the exhale, left ankle over towards the right wrist. Drop the leg down. As the leg drops, again, the back foot, you want to work it back. Lift up in the knee, reach back in the toe, create as much length as you can in that back leg. Options that block right into the hip. Definitely going to be your best friend if you're tight in the hips. Stay up tall, drop down. One side's always a little more challenging. Breathe into that space. Soften. Find a shape that works for you. Hold a lot of tension in our hips, the psoas muscle, and we can just release that, open up, let go. Nice slow rhythm of breath here. To the bottom of the exhale, squeeze the belly down and in. Anything you're holding on to there, like you're wringing out a sponge. To a nice big amount of space on that next inhale to fill back up. All right, yogis, one more breath wherever you are. A little deeper on that exhale. Low, start to come up nice and slow. Palms underneath the shoulder. Tuck the back toe, lift the knee up, press up out of the shoulder so you got some space for that leg to come out. Get some blood flow back into that hip. Move the leg around, rock the hip side to side, whatever's calling to you. Tuck your toes under. Our last downward facing dog. Take it up and back. Lift up in that tailbone. Sink in those heels. Big breath into the heart. On the exhale, just gently walk towards your hands. Nice and slow. Last one, halfway lift. Big breath into that space. Exhale down. Plant those hands. Reach back behind you. Go ahead and come down onto your tail. Wonderful. All right. Legs go out long in front of you. Shake out the leg. Bounce the thighs a little bit. Yeah, reposition your mat if you need to. Okay. All right, staff pose. Go ahead and roll shoulders up and back and reach fingertips back alongside the hips. Lift up in your hips and press out through your heels. Create as much contact with your thighs as possible. A little bend in the knees if you need it. Toes are drawing back towards the kneecaps. You want to get in front of those sit bones so we're not sitting back on that tail. So kind of wiggle hips a little side to side. Get in front of those hips. Inhale, lift up nice and tight. Length, lift, create that space. Breathe in. Reach forward. Let the fingertips drop down. Maybe they land on the shins. Maybe they're on the thighs. Maybe they grab the feet. Your next inhale, lift your chin up. Create a little bit more length in the neck. A little bit more length in the back. Big breath in. Exhale, just hinge and fold. Let your head be heavy. Nice and slow, breath into the back. Nice, slow exhale out. One more cycle. Nice, slow exhale out. Fingertips start to walk back towards the hips. Let's go ahead and reach under that left leg. Give it a little help. Bend into the knee. I'm just going to pull that heel in right to the inner thigh as much as you can. Knees bent. If it's needed out like more towards the calf, totally an option. So just depending upon your flexibility and mobility. All right. You want to kind of take that knee, draw it up in towards the ribs. Lift up nice and tall so we're not rounding the back. So pull your low back in, lift up in your chest, nice and tall. Inhale, lift up. Big breath in. Start to wrap around with that right arm. Draw that knee in towards the ribs. Back hand comes back behind you. Press into that palm. Lift up in the chest. Press out through your heel. Breathe in. And then on the exhale, start to twist from your tailbone up in your shoulder. Look back over that shoulder. Big breath in. Kind of back off on the inhale a little bit. Fill back up. Lift back up. Twist back in. One more cycle wherever you are. Then we start to unwind from the crown of the head back to center. We're just going to let that knee fall off to the side. Bring that heel back into the inner thigh. Keep that front foot flexed and active. Just going to inhale and lift up, kind of square shoulders off over hips. Deep breath in. Reach it forward. Start to fold and feel the stretch on the inner left or inner right thigh. Breathe into the back. Breathe into those ribs. Maybe a block for the head. Sink in, starting to slow everything down. See if you can get the breath. Inhale and exhale, maybe a second or two longer than you've been doing as we slow everything down. One more breath. Breathe into that inner right thigh as you soften, surrender. Take your time, start to walk fingertips back in, bring the crown of the head up. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, we're gonna take a twist again. So we're gonna take that right hand over the left knee, roll the shoulder back. Lift up in your heart, lift up in your crown. Big breath in here. Exhale, push that right hand into the thigh, start to turn up to the shoulder. Back over that left shoulder. One more cycle here. A little deeper on that final exhale. And unwind from the top down, nice and slow. Turn shoulders back towards center. We're gonna turn the shoulders all the way over. So you might want to reposition the hips a little bit, squaring back up, chest over that front leg. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, start to fold. Option here, you can take the left hand to the outer edge of that foot if you like. Inhale, lift up a little bit more, kind of twist, and then fold back in. It's an option. Breathe into the ribs. Just notice how the breath changes shape as we go through these folds, these twists. See where you can bring it into a different part of the abdomen, into a different part of the side rib. All right, release. Start to walk fingertips back in. Reach under that leg, straighten it back out, bounce the leg, shake it out. Everything back to center. We're gonna go ahead and set up for the second side. So go ahead and bring left heel in, bend the knee, draw the knee in, grab for that shin, lift up in the chest. So we're not rounding in the back. Low back comes in, firms up. Foot active, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, let's take that twist, wrap around, draw the knee in, press into the heel. It's tall in the spine, so try not to round in the back. Back fingertips down, so there's a little extra support behind you. Big breath in. Twist up through the shoulders into the neck. One more breath in, nice and slow. Fill back up, back off a little bit. Twist back. Gentle release, everything back to center. Let that knee just drop, reposition the foot if you need to. Turn shoulders, kind of square them off over hips. Inhale, lift up nice and tall. Exhale, reach it forward. Just let them drop down. Feeling it on that inner right thigh. Rock side to side, whatever your body calls for. One more nice slow breath in the stretch. Hold a little deeper on that exhale. Release when you're ready, nice and slow. Inhale, back up. Deep breath in. Taking the twist. Left hand over the thigh. Press into the thigh. Hold the low back in. Lift up. Twist up through the shoulder. Nice and slow. One more breath here, yogi. Gently release. Unwind yourself back in the center. Help yourself out. Pull that knee up and in. All right, let's go ahead and drop onto the back. Let the wind everything down. Go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together and the knees wide. Bringing the heels in towards the pelvis on your back is whatever degree is comfortable there. So knees or toes might be out a little bit more. They might be pulled in a little bit more. Soften the knees. Open those inner thighs. Maybe just grabbing for the outer edges of the knees. Find out whatever level of intensity you would like. Where's your mobility? Grab palms underneath the thighs. Maybe extend one leg out, keeping one foot in. Switching sides. Maybe both legs go along. Let's go ahead and slide both ankles towards each other. Feet go up. You can slide the palms underneath your tailbone if you like, or right underneath your hips to add a little bit more support. You can put a block under there if you like. Flex those feet. Press the heels up to the sky. And then flex the toes up towards the sky. Just back and forth. Gentle inversion to kind of slow down the central nervous system, let everything relax. If there's anything else that calls to you in your practice before you settle into Shavasana, go ahead and take it if you like. Otherwise, just let the legs come down nice and slow. Go ahead and part the legs, maybe heels out to the edges of the mat. Let the toes just turn outwards. Feel that opening in your ankles travel up into your legs, into your hips. And just taking some time to just notice how you feel. Hopefully the hips are a little bit more relaxed, the inner thighs a little bit more open. Creating a little bit more space and opening for the breath to just move in the body this morning. Feel how the chest is hopefully a little bit more open and soft through the collarbones, throat, jaw. Just be here for a few final moments. Enjoy the benefits of your practice. Allow me to call you back in a moment. All right, yogis, begin to just gently deepen your breath. Wiggle those fingers and toes, turn your head, rock it side to side. Just go ahead and place one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And instead of coming up into a seat, I'm just going to end practice here this morning. I'd like to just offer a simple 3-part intention. So exhale everything out of the body. And then on that next inhale, just an inhale and an intention of breathing in courage into the body. And a soft exhale of letting go of any fear or doubt in the body, in the mind. One more time, inhaling courage. Exhaling doubt, fear. Second part of that intention, exhaling everything out. And just inhaling compassion. Exhaling, letting go of any judgment or comparison, self. One more time, inhaling compassion. And exhaling, letting go of any judgment. And then the last part of this intention, exhale everything out. And just inhaling contentment. Exhaling, letting go of any desire or want. Just one more cycle. Inhale that contentment. Letting go of any desire or want. Knowing you have everything you need right here in this moment alone. Just breathing in those 3 C's, as I call it. Courage, compassion, contentment. Thank you for allowing me to guide you in this practice this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Make sure you take that time not only with your friends and family, but also just for yourself to slow everything down. Breathe into that heart space. Let it go. Namaste. Take your time. Stay here for as long as you need to. Take your time getting up. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, everybody.